children? Hope you all are safe and fine at home. Yeah, stay safe at home. Right? So today, let us start off with a new lesson in science. Yes? So we are going to look into animals living and surviving. Right? So how animals which are there around us, how do they live and how do they survive? So this is the main part which we are going to deal with in today's lesson. Yeah. So let's start off, children. Yeah. So main thing is, first of all, animals need to adapt themselves. So what do you mean by adaptation? Adaptation is nothing but the process of changing to suit the surrounding environment is called as adaptation. So how are they going to change according to the present environment, according to the required conditions? Because environment, it changes, the climate changes, weather changes. So depending upon the changing weather climatic conditions, the animals tend to change its own nature. So that is what is called as adaptation. So this change what is brought in them that makes them to survive in the present world is called as adaptation. Now, living things are able to adapt themselves to their surroundings and survive. Those that cannot adapt, they die. Yes, animals which are able to change and live, they are able to survive. And those who cannot adapt themselves, they are dying. The one best example which we come across are the dinosaurs. I hope you must have heard the name dinosaurs, children. Yes. So many years ago, these dinosaurs, they played a major role in the universe. Yeah. But slowly, when the climatic conditions changed, the weather changed, the environment surrounding the dinosaurs community, it changed. The dinosaurs could not adapt themselves. They could not change themselves. So slowly the dinosaurs started to die. That is called perishing. So do we find dinosaurs now? No. So they are the perished animals. Means they are extinct. We do not find them now. Next, adaptation can be divided into three types. So basically animals, they tend to change and live according to three types. Adaptations to environment, adaptations for food and adaptations for protection. Now what are the three major areas where animals have to adapt, children? First is adaptation to environment. Because they live in the environment, they need to change according to the environment. Then adaptation for food. What food they are eating, it changes according to the environment. So they need to get adjusted to the food also. At the same time, adaptation for protection. They need to protect themselves. How best can they protect? That is also plays a major important role. Now, adaptations to environment. So we are going to look into each one in detail. So let us see how animals are adapted to the environment. Mainly it goes with the habitat. Adaptation is carried out through habitat. What is habitat? Habitat is nothing but the natural home of an animal is called as a habitat. It is nothing but the home of the animals where they live. That is called as a habitat. Animals are grouped according to their habitats. So now we can see, based upon the habitat, the animals are again grouped. So adaptation to environment, animals are grouped into 5 types. What are those? Terrestrial animals, aquatic animals, amphibians, aerial animals and arboreal animals. So these animals are divided according to their homes. That is nothing but the habitat. Habitat is the place where they live. So we can see few animals are terrestrial, few are aquatic, few are amphibians, few are aerial and animals are arboreal. Right? Now let us look into each one in detail. Now, terrestrial animals. So, the word terrestrial itself tells these animals, they live on the land. So, animals that live on land are called as terrestrial animals. So, land is the place for them. It is the home for them. Okay. So, we can find many animals around us, children. Yeah. Like horses, lion, camels, dog, etc. So, these animals, they tend to live on the land. So, they are called as terrestrial animals. These animals have legs to move and lungs to breathe. They have well-developed sense organs and nervous system to sense changes in the surrounding. So, these animals, how does the movement take place? They have got legs. And how do they breathe? They breathe through the lungs. So, this is the main process of respiration as well as movement. Animals like snakes do not have legs, but they have plates or scales that help them to crawl. So, again, few animals have legs and few animals do not have. Now, if you take an example of a snake, can you find legs in a snake, children? No. So, their smooth body helps them to crawl on the ground. Okay. Now, animals like polar bears and Arctic foxes have fur on their bodies that keep them warm in the cold region. So, again, our land is also divided into different regions. In some regions, it is very hot. In some regions, it is very cold. In some regions, it is normal. Both hot and cold climatic conditions are normal. So, our country, India, our weather is normal. But if you go and check into polar regions, the North Pole, South Pole, okay, Earth is round. Onto the tip of the Earth, on the top as well as at the bottom of the Earth, those two areas are called polar regions. There it is very cold. So, those animals like bears, okay, Arctic, polar bears and Arctic foxes, they live in those areas. And how do they protect? How did they change? How did they adapt themselves? This is by having fur on their body. So, their fur is so thick. Bushy fur they would be having on the body. So, that fur will keep them warm. Even though they are living in such a cold climate, their body will be warm. Next, animals like frogs and lizards sleep for several months to protect themselves from cold. This is called hibernation. So, again we are able to hear a new word, hibernation. Hibernation is nothing but the resting period. Okay, animals like frogs, okay, and lizards, they sleep for a long time. Okay, because it is very cold, they can't come out. So, during that period, they tend to take rest. They go to deep sleep during those months. And this process where the animal goes to sleep for few months is called as hibernation. Desert animals, skin is thick which protects them from the heat of the sun. We told no, polar regions it is very hot, very cold. Now in the desert region it is very hot. But there also we have some animals living like camel. So what happens to the camel skin? It is very thick. So this thick skin, what will happen? It will not allow more heat to enter into the body. It will protect the animal from heat. So by these adaptations, the animals are able to live on the land. And the animals that live on the land are called as terrestrial animals. Now let us go into aquatic animals. Animals that live in water are called water animals or aquatic animals. So where do you find these animals, children? They live in the water. Fish, snails, turtles and crabs are some aquatic animals. So generally what do you see? Which animals do you see? You can find find some fishes, we can find some crabs, we can see some turtles. All these are the aquatic animals. And these aquatic animals, if you take them out of the water, can they live, children? No. Yes? So if you take out a fish from the water, you put it on the ground, can a fish survive for one day? Not even half a day, it would die, because the habitat of fish is water, but it is not on land. Yes, in the same manner, if you take a horse and throw it into the water, can the horse live in the water, inside the water? No, because the habitat of horse is where? It is on the land. It can live on the land, but it cannot live inside the water. So, wherever the animals are adapted, there only they can survive. Ducks have webbed feet, turtles have paddle-like limbs which help them to swim in the water. So, when these animals are living in the water, their body organ also changes. According to the adaptation, they tend to change the body. So, animals like frogs, turtles, they have got webbed feet. So, with the webbed feet means in between the feet, they have got the skin. Okay, so in between, suppose if I take these two fingers, in between the fingers there is a web. Web is an extra skin which is growing here. So like this, the whole of the limb of the turtle or limb of a frog is being fitted with skin, web. So this web will protect the animal to push the water and swim in the water. And fishes have fins. So these fins will allow the fish to swim in the water. Fishes and crabs have gills that help them to breathe in the water. So now we have seen the land animals, they have got lungs. They breathe through lungs. But the water animals, they have got gills. Okay? Gill is an organ through which the animal breathes in the air and survives. Yes, children? So, have you understood what are aquatic animals? Yes, the animals that live in the water are called aquatic animals, and they tend to adapt themselves according to the water environment. Yes, children? Now, next is amphibians. Right? The third one is amphibians. Animals that can live on both land and water are called amphibians. So, what are amphibians? These animals that can live both on land as well as in water also. Right? The best example, can you tell me? Yes, frog. Right? So, frog is such a wonderful animal which can live, which we generally see that can live on land as well as in water. Frogs, toads, salamanders are some example of amphibians. These animals have limbs that help them to swim in the water. So, these animals have got the limbs which will help them to swim in the water. Moist skin helps them to breathe in water. So, how do they breathe? Through skin they breathe. Okay, if they are going into the water, they have got a skin. That skin will allow them to breathe. Right, children? Understood? Now, they also have lungs which help them to breathe on land. So, they have got two different organs. They breathe, if they are on the land, they breathe through lungs, and if they are in the water, they breathe through the moist skin. Moist means what? Little wet. Okay? Because they are inside the water, the skin becomes wet. So, through the skin, they start breathing. Right, children? So, now till now we have seen three types of animals. One is terrestrial animal, the other one is aquatic animal, the third one is amphibians. Terrestrial animals, they live on the land. Aquatic animals, they live in the water. Amphibians, they live both on land as well as in water. Next is aerial animals. Yes, see beautiful pictures we can see here. Aerial animals that fly are called aerial animals. So what are aerial animals? The animals that you can see them flying in the air are called as aerial animals. These animals have wings to fly. Most birds and insects can fly. Bats are the only mammals that can fly. So here, which animals they come under aerial children? Birds and insects. So how do they fly in the air? They have got wings. Through the wings, they fly in the air. But bat is the only mammal that can fly in the air. Animals which fly have a light body weight. So their body is boat shaped, which makes them to cut through the air. So these animals, that is the birds and the insects, their body is very light. So the bones are light, and with the help of light feathers, they try to fly in the air. Okay, so their body is boat shaped. As it is boat shaped, they cut through the air, and they, with the help of wings, they fly high. Okay children, if you take a bird feather, how do you feel it? If you just blow it, it would just go on and on and on, right? Why? Because it is very light. That is the reason it can fly and fly and fly, wherein sometimes you can't catch also. So in the same way, the birds, their body is very light, which helps them to fly in